Hi everyone. Thanks very much again for joining me for our second webinar for this year. From Buzzword to Business Boost, this one is about how to avoid rainbow washing. For anyone that doesn't know, February in the UK and Ireland is LGBTQIA History Month, hence the theme of our webinar today. So we'll kick off here with our agenda. We'll do a very brief introduction before jumping straight into what exactly rainbow washing is. We'll cover off the impacts that rainbow washing may be having on your business and how you can best avoid rainbow washing, celebrating the LGBTQIA plus community authentically in your organization. And as always, we'll end with a Q&A. For those of you who do not know us, we are Diverse Talent, and Diverse Talent is a social impact company that's focused on empowering people to obtain careers, improve their personal confidence, and also to enhance DEI in wider society. So we were founded back in 2020, supported thousands of people, companies, and nonprofits across the UK and Ireland with our careers platform. And most recently, then I have joined to add to those training services the DEI consultancy section of Diverse Talent. You can read a little bit more about us on our website there as well. A lovely big picture of me because I am not in the aforementioned picture. Haven't quite got to, to updating those just yet. My name is Karan Gibson for anyone that doesn't know me, and pronouns are she, her. I have over 8 years experience within DE&I in the workplace, specialising particularly in women in the workplace and LGBTQIA plus empowerment and protections. I am a training program creator and expert trainer, and I'm a very experienced consultant and expert in project and change management. I've been doing that for a good few years, particularly in financial software, Workday for anyone who's interested, while doing kind of DEI and things like that on the side. So a couple of years ago, I made the change then to make my expertise DEI, LGBTQIA empowerment and things like that, and dropped the Workday aspect of it and haven't looked back. That's enough about me. We'll get to why you're here today, which is to find out a little bit more about rainbow washing and what exactly it is. Rainbow washing, then, it is multiple things. It's tokenism. Tokenism in its wider sense then is using any community, say for example, tokenism of women then would be to put a woman front and center without any thinking behind, is it relevant to have her front and center in this campaign for this promotion, whatever it may be. And that is usually called pink washing. Rainbow washing then is the exact same thing, but for LGBTQIA staff. It can come across as very gimmicky. It's not something that is taken or is let go as often as it might have been in previous years. People are a little bit more aware of it and can spot it a lot easier. So if your organization is taking using a bit of rainbow washing in their marketing or their job ads and things like that, it can come across quite gimmicky to your job seekers or to anyone else, client-wise or otherwise, that's looking at your business. It comes across as well as performative. Rainbow washing has no substance behind it. As I say, it's just sticking the rainbow sticker on there or saying Happy Pride Month, but not having any substance behind it. There's no blog post about what you've been doing with your LGBTQIA network, or there's nothing to say about, oh, this is what we're doing to celebrate LGBTQIA History Month. There's just the simple, look, I said the thing. That all makes it non-meaningful. And altogether, non-meaningful, should we even have bothered doing it, is really what it comes down to. Often we find that actually having done it in a rainbow washing type of way can have the complete opposite effect. Quite simply, it is the capitalizing of LGBTQIA people. It is just using Pride Month, using LGBT History Month, and using your LGBTQIA employees, customers, etc., as a marketing gimmick. Certainly, that's how it comes across. We're saying it because we know we should. We're saying it because everyone else is saying it. You can't have no message on Pride Month. That's bad marketing. That's capitalizing on us, and we can see that a mile off. So quite obvious the reasons why we wouldn't want to be seen to be rainbow washing. Above all, for businesses, it's completely ineffective. If there's no substance, there's no merit behind what you're doing, as I said, no point in doing it. So the impacts that that could be having on your business, as opposed to just those words, let's look at the real business impacts of it. It's a complete loss of trust and credibility. People in your organizations, your customers, and any other third parties, if they see your attempts then to say Happy Pride Month, etc., as rainbow washing, there can be a lack of trust there. And as I say, that kind of gimmicky aspect of it can come back into it. There's nothing behind it to say that you actually care about the LGBTQIA plus community. So the loss of trust and credibility is quite obvious. You can even face backlash and public criticism. So social media, especially, you'll find that people will share ad campaigns and say, that's all well and good, but what about your results on Glassdoor? It doesn't say the same story here. And it's quite easy now with all these different ways that your clients and the public can get in touch with you in a very public forum and call you out. It will reduce employee engagement as well because any of your LGBTQIA plus employees and their allies may see this for what it is and feel unsupported, which will lower their morale, decrease their engagement, and probably lead to a higher turnover as well. If they don't literally leave, they could just be staying and not really giving it their all. There's also the issue of missed talent and retention issues. So, as we say, reasons for people leaving then is that reduced employee engagement, but also not getting the talent there in the first place. It's something that more and more people are doing is researching their company before applying there or before their interview. To some extent, we always would have done that, but now we're doing it not only to see what year were you established and what's your current CEO called and all those things that we'll do to get ourselves ready for the interview. We're looking to see if we want to work there as well, looking on those pages to see what blogs have you been posting about, what have you been attending, what's your diversity policies, is there any mention of it at all? And a damage to customer loyalty because your consumers, especially any consumers, if you're looking in those younger generations, prefer brands with authentic values. A lot of your consumers will have their own targets to meet as well. They'll have their own DEI initiatives. They'll be looking to make sure that they are meeting their ESG standards. And that also applies then to who their suppliers are. So if they perceive their suppliers to not be meeting those standards, then that they are rainbow washing or any other type of tokenism is going on there, it is damaging to them to be associated with a company like that. The risk of being held accountable. You have, as we said before, activist journalists, but also watchdog organizations that can scrutinize policies and practices. So more and more as this goes beyond just saying the right thing, if you are saying that there's a certain standard that's being held within your company and it's quite simply not true, watchdogs and things like that can also get involved. And as we know as well, there are always being updates to ESG requirements, whether it comes from the EU, the UK, or otherwise. It's always something to look out for in terms of your employee, not only safety, but benefits as well that employees are required to be given. So it's always good to keep ahead of the curve in those areas. And of course, overall, then your long-term business success. So companies that fail to integrate DEI meaningfully on the whole are simply less successful. It is just fact at this point. They struggle more with innovation, with market adaptability and collaboration. The more diverse and inclusive a company is, the more ideas there are at the table, essentially. So the more you have to choose from, the wider your talent pool. Everything's more. So your ability to grow is easier. That's all the what not to be doing and why you shouldn't be doing it. Let's talk about how we can avoid it and how we can celebrate our LGBTQIA plus community authentically. And we'll start with what we can do today. Back up your words with action. It is the most important thing that you can do. If there's anything out there at the moment that is simply saying, to quote my favorite drag queen, hi gays. Anyone who's a fan of Trixie Mattel and Katya, that's one of my favorite little videos. And that's how they described tokenism from big brands like you're sort of in the USA, you've got Target and Walmart. Every Pride kind of release a whole load of rainbow t-shirts and things like that. And that was how they sort of perceived that was just, hi guys, come and buy our products. It has to have something behind it so it isn't seen as that kind of, again, gimmicky marketing ploy, and it's seen as something substantial. So back those words up with some form of action. Release the campaign for Happy Pride and have action then to go along with it. Photos of you attending Pride events, blogs from your queer employees who are talking about how wonderful it is to work here and how I feel safe in my workplace. And we've just recently updated our policy to include parental leave that also encompasses adoptive leave and things like that. Anything that's going to have a good impact on your queer clients, your LGBTQIA plus employees, etc. Have words, tell us about them, and show us the action that has gone along with those words. No point in just talking the talk, have to walk the walk. So as I say, whatever's out there at the moment, I would be having a review of that. And engage with your LGBTQIA plus staff. Hopefully most of you will have some form of tracker in your HR systems to say percentages of your staff that are of whatever gender, sexuality, race and ethnicity and things like that. So it's good to get the data together and see what percentage of your staff are actually identifying and see if you're coming in above or below what ideally it should be. If it's quite low, it's quite likely then that people are being turned away or turned off, sorry, your company in some way, or maybe you've got high turnover, something to look at there. And if hopefully it is a decent percentage and you've got a good number of staff there, well, then we need to make sure that they are feeling supportive and that you're keeping a hold of them and that you're getting the best out of them as well. Engage them with things like making sure you've got employee networks in place in different forums and getting them involved in those forums, making sure their voices are well and truly heard. Respond to your feedback if you're ever doing surveys or ever asking for feedback. Make sure you are responding to that and thanking your staff for their time. All those simple things make a big difference. And yeah, just basically ask your staff what it is that they want and what they think of your new ad campaign, what they think of your new policy that is pertaining to them. Provide training. I am a big one for training. I know sometimes it can seem like, especially for middle management and things like that, who often get a lot of training in different aspects, it can seem like, oh my goodness, not another one. Invest in good training would be a follow-up to that. Engaging training, relevant training, something that's actually going to have your staff leaving the room saying, oh, I now know how to, or I feel better about, and it achieves some sort of goal as opposed to some sort of tick box is usually the right way to go about it. Training specifically that would be good in these areas. You can have basic sort of what is DEI, what's it all about that can touch into areas like LGBTQIA plus staff, women in the workplace, etc. And then depending on the level of staff or how familiar they are with these things, you can hone in then more specifically on pronouns in the workplace or what does trans mean in the workplace? How is this affecting me? How can I be an ally? All these questions being answered, whether it's a colleague or if you're a manager managing LGBTQIA staff or leadership looking to empower and make your LGBTQIA staff feel safe in your workplace. We are going the wrong direction there. There we go. Partner with LGBTQIA plus organizations. So similar to asking your staff, giving them training from the experts, partner with the experts. Ask them. You don't have to do this on your own. You can't physically be an expert in all areas of the E&I. It is too wide reaching. It is too much. You need to partner with organizations for each specific area that you're looking to tackle, and get their input, get their ideas, get their knowledge. They've done this over and over again. They're out in schools, workplaces, delivering training, updating teachers and students and staff, answering all their questions and dealing with all this day in, day out. They know lessons learned, what not to do, what success stories they can share with you as well. So you can skip the guesswork and get straight to it with the experts. If you're in Northern Ireland, the same as myself, you know, great organizations like the Rainbow Project, Cara Friend, Here and I, plenty more as well, that I'm often sharing across socials and things like that. But there are some examples that immediately come to mind. Um, and ourselves as well at Diverse Talent, we are a queer female-owned company as well. And obviously we deliver for training, if I do say so myself. And implement inclusive policies. This comes back to sort of follow up with actions. No point in just putting out a post saying, we're great here. Have a policy in place to prove it. Have a policy in place that shows these characteristics are protected. This is what you can expect safety-wise. This is what happens if you face some form of harassment in the workplace. Nice and clear cut and easy for everyone to understand at any level of management or just any level of employee. And policies as well, then if you have a policy on parental leave, make sure it's inclusive of all genders, make sure it's inclusive of whatever type of parent it may be. And this always overlaps as well. It's never just about one thing. When you do that, you're also talking about single parent households, you're also talking about foster families and adoptive families of all genders, of all sexualities. It's never just going to impact one certain type of staff. Every time you look at inclusive policies, there's other people that are going to benefit from these things as well. So often if people get a little bit down on the whole DEI thing and start talking about it's all about merit and it shouldn't be this helping hand that so many people want these days, they can often be shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with that, because there's plenty of inclusive policies where maybe the intent was to help this group, but actually it would have had such a great impact on you as well. So inclusive policies, again, use your staff, use the organizations to help you with those, review them and give their thoughts on what you're doing. And be transparent and accountable. Just move my face there. That is particularly with your staff, being transparent and accountable, and helps so much with so many problems that aren't even problems. Being transparent comes down to even if you have updated these policies. So often we come into workplaces who have actually not terrible policies or quite good policies, but nobody knows about them, or nobody's joined our employee network groups. Nobody knows we even went to Pride last year. Have you told them? Have you got some good comms there that are going out to actually tell your staff about these? Again, blog posts on your website so that your customers and the wider public can see these as well on your social media. It should all be there, and it should all be transparent as well in terms of not jumping in going, look, we're perfect, we absolutely nailed this. The best kind of updates and posts in the companies that are perceived as top of their game in these areas are the most transparent in, this was tough, or this was how we did it the first time. We were a little bit rainbow washy with our original campaign. How embarrassing, look at us now, though. That kind of transparency really helps pull it back and make it more accessible to everybody else and makes you more realistic. And accountability as well. Expect feedback and take it on the chin if someone points out this is a bit rainbow washy, or this doesn't actually help the people you meant it to help. That's not the best update to that policy. You could have done this instead. Listen to them, take it on the chin, take that feedback. Again, speak to the organizations that are there to help you, and learn with them. No policy, no process should ever be written, and then just went, that's that. We're never looking at that again. Everything always needs reviewed and updated, and the only way you can do that is be accountable for what was missed the first time round, or what was missed simply because it wasn't included in our thinking at the time. We'll always need to have a look at that. Overall, at all times, uh, you're just looking to foster an inclusive workplace all year round. You'll have your key dates. You'll be celebrating Pride Month come June. This month, maybe you've been sharing some posts about historical LGBTQIA figures for LGBT History Month, but it doesn't stop there. Best advice that I can give anyone who's struggling about, when and where to implement this, again, speak to your staff, speak to the organizations for help on this. But the best advice I would give is considering intersectionality at all times. Um, I worked with a company, and they had some networks that were more successful than others, just further down the line, had more engagement. And the best thing that those networks could do to help the ones that were struggling a little bit more was infuse that or take that intersectionality on board. So, for example, I've delivered talks on LGBTQIA plus people and the intersectionality with neurodiversity, and that kind of helped a neurodiverse network jump on board there and get involved during Pride Month. But there was a little bit there that we could do to try and help them get the same kind of traction and help point people over that direction as well. Same with International Women's Month. If you've got that going quite well, but you're struggling with your LGBTQ network or initiatives, we could have queer women speaking about a queer female experience, or trans women, things like that that you can do to kind of include it at different events. And just in a general sense, that it's not, well, we're not talking about that this month, wait until June. There should never be any aspect of that. If someone wants to update a policy or someone wants to have an event in October that is somewhat queer focused, there shouldn't be a reason not to do that, or the reason shouldn't be, sorry, that it's not Pride Month. It's all year round, it's always relevant, and just keep that in mind at all times. That is all of my slides there for today. So what we'll do now is I will stop the recording here in case anyone wants to jump on. We can have a little chat on camera here and get some Q&As done. So I will just stop the recording. But thank you everyone who's watching this at a later date before I do that.